All right, let's talk about security. We're going to go on a journey, starting with how you protect your own personal computer, and then scaling that all the way up to how a giant company protects thousands of them. You'll see that securing one PC is kind of like building a fortress, while securing a whole enterprise, well, that's like governing an entire city. It's a really cool way to see how security has to evolve, so let's just dive right in.
So this is the big question, right? How do you make that jump from one PC to 1,000? It sounds like a massive leap, and it is. But what's interesting is that the basic ideas, the core principles, they actually build on each other in a really smart, logical way. We're going to start small and see exactly how each layer of security paves the way for the next one.
Okay, so first things first, let's just focus on your personal computer. The absolute best way to think about its security is to picture it as your own digital fortress. Seriously, it's got walls, it's got gates, and it's full of treasure, your data, and you've got to protect every last bit of it. So the moment you power on your machine, you're immediately met with two critical gates. The very first one is the BIOS or UEFI password. This is the super low-level software that boots up your computer, and putting a password on it, that's like putting a heavy-duty lock on the outermost wall of your fortress. It can stop an intruder cold before Windows even gets a chance to load. Then, once you're past that, you've got the Windows user account login. That's the key to the main gate, the thing that actually lets you inside the fortress itself. See? Two totally separate but equally crucial layers.
That's the perfect question. So you're inside the fortress. Now what? Just because someone made it past the main gate doesn't mean they should be able to run around and grab all the valuables. We're talking about your actual data, your documents, your photos. This is where we need to talk about protecting the treasure itself. And that brings us to encryption. So, when it comes to protecting that treasure, you've got two main approaches. On one side, you have basic file encryption. Think of this like taking a specific treasure chest, say your financial documents, and putting it in a locked box. You pick and choose which specific files get that extra protection. But then you have Bitlocker. Bitlocker is like a powerful spell that makes everything inside the fortress, every single file, every program, totally unreadable to anyone who doesn't have the master key. It encrypts your entire hard drive, giving you this huge, automatic blanket of security.
Okay, so our fortress is secure. Awesome. But let's be real, we don't operate in a vacuum. We connect our computers to networks to share things like files and printers. Suddenly, our lone fortress is now part of a neighborhood. And anytime you're in a neighborhood, you need rules. You need rules about who can come onto your property and what they're allowed to do when they get there.
And this is where this idea of permissions becomes so important. You can think of permissions as the official rules of the neighborhood. It's like you're handing out very specific keys to your neighbors. Maybe one key just lets them open your mailbox, while a different key lets them come inside your house to water the plants while you're away. The point is, you have total control over who gets which key.
Let's break down what these different keys can do. A read permission? That's basically like letting someone peek through your window. They can see what's inside, but they can't touch a thing. Now, modify permission is a lot more powerful. That key lets them come inside and, say, rearrange your furniture. But then you have full control. Whoa. This is the master key and the deed to the house. They can do literally anything. You have to be incredibly careful who you give that key to.
Now, there's another layer here. Kind of behind the scenes, there are these hidden backdoors called administrative shares. The best way to think of these are like secret service tunnels that only the city manager, your network administrator, has the keys to. They're not for everyday neighbors. They exist purely so that an admin can manage every house in the neighborhood powerfully and remotely.
And that brings us to the next big leap. Our analogy is about to explode from a little neighborhood into a massive, sprawling digital city. See, when you're in charge of thousands of computers and users at a big company, you just can't go door to door handing out individual keys anymore. It's impossible. You need a centralized government. And in the Windows world, that central government is called Active Directory. Just picture it as the city's central hall of records, or maybe a giant official phone book for everything and everyone. It keeps a master list of every citizen, every user, and every single building, every computer in the entire city. So when you log in, Active Directory is what confirms who you are and tells you what you're allowed to do. It's the single source of truth for the whole company. I mean, can you imagine the chaos without it? Every computer would be its own little island with its own rules. It would be impossible to secure.
So if Active Directory is the city registry, then group policy is the city's law book. And this is an incredibly powerful tool for setting rules that apply across the entire city. For instance, an admin can use it to create a law that says everyone must have a strong password, or they can block people from plugging USB drives into certain computers to prevent viruses. They can even automatically push security software to every single machine on the network.
It's all about making sure that consistent, strong security rules are applied everywhere with no exceptions.
Phew. Okay, so we've gone all the way from a single fortress to an entire city. Let's just take a second and recap the big ideas we've covered, because they really do all stack on top of each other.
First and foremost, back at your own digital fortress, the absolute key is to have layers. Never, ever rely on just one lock. Your BIOS password is that outer wall, and your Windows user account is the main gate. The more hurdles an intruder has to clear, the safer you're going to be.
Okay, then for takeaway number 2, when you move into that shared neighborhood, control becomes everything. You have to use permissions deliberately. There's a concept called the principle of least privilege, which just means you only give people the absolute bare minimum access they need to do their job and nothing more. Don't hand out master keys when a key to a single closet will do the trick.
And finally, all of this leads to our third big takeaway. When you scale up to the size of a city, the only sane way to keep things secure is to centralize your rules. Tools like Active Directory and group policy are non-negotiable. They're what allow you to create a consistent, enforceable set of laws that apply to everyone and everything, ensuring there are no forgotten corners or weak links in your defenses.
You know, when you look at it this way, from a fortress to a city, you realize that security isn't some product you buy or something you just set up and forget. It's a process. It's a constant process of layering your defenses, controlling access, and managing the rules. So whether you're thinking about your own laptop or a massive corporate network, the question is always the same. What's the very next step you can take to make your digital world just a little bit more secure?